It involves a really, really big piece of newspaper.
Does it involve fire?
Fire.
Okay, I'm glad it involves fire. If it didn't involve fire,
Don't worry,
do
I
it.
will light it for you, my friend.
And speaking of fire, Scott Barnes has fired Trent Bray. We didn't even plan that. Benny just started talking
I don't
about
like
fire.
laughing at that, but it was good.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's listen to the theme music.
He
together.
fired the wrong guy that has a name that rhymes with Trent. He probably just got it wrong.
There is a rhyme scheme happening, and also it's a lot of last names that start with G.
Yeah.
It's just a lot. It's hard to keep things
Bertram.
straight here. Who is JP?
Ooh, I'm
This is the Killer Bee conspiracy. Barnes, Blaylock, Bray, Bertram,
Blueprint.
Boo.
Boo.
Hey, not my fault. Not my fault.
What? Your last name starts with B, doesn't it? All right.
I can't
All
defend
right,
myself.
then. You
But
can't.
look what I've done. I've
can't hide.
hired so many great coaches.
How many great coach? It's so that really reminded me, and this is not the same thing at all, but like, especially this happened like in the 90s, early 2000s. If like a white celebrity or white professional athlete got accused of being racist, they immediately recalled exactly how many black people they were friends with. And like when John Rocker like said a bunch of shit in New York, and they're like, John, this is really fucked up. Like, do you really think this way? He's like, no, I've had 3 black people at my house before. I'm not racist.
Yeah.
Have you,
Scott Barr, I know how to hire. I've hired 5 head coaches.
There's the guy who wrote the article in Sports Illustrated about John Rocker has a YouTube channel where he talks about it, or talks about different sports stories that he's covered. And he talked about the one with John Rocker, and he's like, he hands down, not even close, is the worst human being that I have ever met in my entire life.
Yeah, I think he tried to
It
redeem
checks.
himself and just did not do a very good job.
Well, and then tried to
of it,
fight
but-
Patrick Mahomes' dad at some bar.
That was when people were like, man, because the whole Mahomes family was pissing
John
everybody off,
Rocker did?
especially Jackson.
Yeah.
Because John Rocker, Pat Mahomes, who pitched for the Twins and a bunch of other teams, had like decades-long beef. But the whole Mahomes family, outside of Patrick, was just being so goddamn annoying that I remember John Rocker drunkenly trying to fight Pat Mahomes Sr. at a bar. A bunch of people responded to it with the worst person you know just made a really good point meme. And it was like, this could be the redemption tour for John Rocker 25
Never.
years later.
Never.
Just knock out any member of the Mahomes and you're in. That's how toxic Jackson Mahomes has been.
Is that his brother?
Yeah. I mean, Pat Mahomes is an endeared figure in
Is he
Minnesota.
still best friends? Wasn't he in trouble? Didn't he like
Yeah, he's spent
He,
time
like,
in jail for sure.
sexually assault like a woman behind like in the back room of like a business?
Something like that. I don't want to speak on it because I don't
He,
know
like-
specifically, but I've seen stories of Jackson Mahomes in trouble again, and I'm like, oh,
I mean,
sucks to suck.
it could be worse. He could be Oregon State Athletic.
Jackson Mahomes has won as many college football games as Oregon State has this season, so
Oh,
maybe we shouldn't be hating too hard.
I think we're hating on
Shouldn't
Oregon
be.
State.
Oh, I thought you said we shouldn't be behaving too hard.
No, we
never
shouldn't be
behave.
doing that either.
That's what
We
happens
should
when
never
your
be behaving.
echo cancellation isn't working, and it sounds like you said behaving instead of behaving.
Should I turn echo cancellation on now that I turned the volume down? Would that mess things up if I turned it on mid-recording?
Yeah.
Don't risk it.
Thanks, Benny.
We're already so
I'm asking the
behind.
person who knows this. Okay. And just says yes or no without any expertise. Yeah.
First thing that comes to mind,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Definitely. Yes. Don't do that. But yes.
We're recording fine right now.
Yeah. It sounds great to
Darn.
me.
Yeah.
It's been 5
That's
minutes, and
great.
we've done okay. We sound
Yeah.
great. We sound so good.
We really have.
Think about the
Yeah,
listeners.
really.
They're like, these guys sound so good.
We sound
The
almost
audio
as good as we
quality.
sound in Sora.
The listeners are really excited about this. I can tell. This is another
invigorating
perfect episode.
topics.
The 192nd perfect episode of the Belligerent Beavs podcast.
What number episode is it that we have not had an outline?
I've been putting things in there. It's probably like 7 or 8.
Oh, I haven't read the outline in like
I'm just
30
winging
episodes.
I'm just winging it.
You haven't read the outline in 30 episodes? I don't know if Benny's read the outline in 300 episodes.
Hey,
That's
I've
more total
written
episodes.
the outline at least once.
You have written the outline once.
Can I start this episode, even though we've started off with
No,
just
you
such
can't
a
because
great
it started.
soundbite? With such a
Can
great
we restart the
soundbite.
episode?
With such a great
You've got the
soundbite.
controls, JP. You can do whatever you want.
My new favorite song that I'm the singer of.
Yeah, that was a good song. Is that on Spotify?
It's about to be, and on SoundCloud.
For
Yeah.
the listener
Ooh,
without the most expensive pair of headphones ever, which is probably what is needed to understand the soundbite from your phone into the microphone. What did that song say? What were the
It
lyrics?
said, "Do you know who sucks? Trent Bray." That's what it said.
Yeah,
That's
I
going to
wonder
be our YouTube short for the episode.
I wonder
Yeah.
why he's not on the pod tonight. Oh,
Hey, we've offered so many times. I don't know if he's still employed. Honestly, I haven't seen anything from him since we last offered him to join us, and I haven't heard him
I
interviewed.
imagine
He was on quite the tour. He was on quite the tour, but he checked his boxes
and it was going
went home.
great too.
It was going great. Yeah, he
The
did a great
tour
job.
was really having the intended effect that media strategy was hoping that
It was like a
would.
politician after a really bad scandal, like in politics 10 years ago. If there was a really bad scandal that happened that tried to go on a PR tour.
Take your pick, bro.
When, yeah,
Take
one of
your
the
pick
many.
which one.
That's the
Yeah.
redeeming quality. Is it's not even there's a lot of real equally dumb things that have happened, unfortunately, but it's the one happening now and happening within the halls of our favorite university, and was also just so goddamn avoidable. I just said goddamn for the first time within 10 minutes to start the show. Sorry.
Oh, well, we
Sorry
lost
to my
that one
dad's
listener
burner
again.
from last week.
Yeah.
Good job, Terry.
I'm not wearing the Expos hat, though. I doubt you'll even recognize me.
Can't tell. Can't even tell it's you.
I'm rocking
baseball
a
in
Beaver
Canada
hat.
not having a great week.
Baseball in Canada is not having a great week. That was not worn out of support for the Toronto Blue Jays, though. I'm very happy that the Mariners are up 2 on the ALCS. Shout outs to you, Benny, and shout outs to all the Mariners fans who listen to this show. I'm happy for them. I'm happy for you. It's been fun baseball.
Thanks.
I'm having a
happy
good
too.
time.
Yeah.
I know I like everything
Vibes are
around
good.
Oregon State athletics is burning down right now, and we're really sad and worried and devastated. But I'm
That
still
is
having
my
a good
escape.
time with a lot
That
of other
is-
things.
That is my escape for sure.
Yeah.
Which
Fall's
is
a great
which has
time
been a
of
nice
year.
escape.
I ain't worried. I ain't worried.
No, we're gonna beat your Dodgers though. Seems pretty likely that that's gonna be the matchup.
Oh, I'm not. Yeah, that's good.
We're gonna
Well,
beat
okay, if
your
we're talking
Dodgers.
baseball for a second, they're not my
A little bit
Dodgers.
of a
You're-
Freudian
you're-
slip there.
You-
We're gonna beat
Yeah.
your mortal
Your arch
enemies,
rival.
JP.
You're our
Yeah,
rival.
This might even get JP to buy a Mariner hat.
Hey,
I have one.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Hell
if
yeah.
the Mariners make it to the World Series, I'll wear it next week.
hell,
Okay.
I'll wear mine too. Terry, you got to get one.
I can get one.
Yeah.
I think I had one of the pitchfork ones when I was a kid.
Oh,
There's no way it would fit, and I think my parents probably got rid of it when they got rid of a lot of old
get
Terry
the dark
things.
blue with
but
the aqua brim. Those are the best hats. By
Those
far the
aren't.
best hats.
I know I like
Which
the
one
blue
did
and
I
yellow
buy?
ones.
I think
though.
it-
I had
think
a
I got
blue and
that
yellow
one.
like
The
pitchfork.
navy
like-
with the teal brim.
Yeah.
Didn't I
that's the
buy that with
best.
you, Benny?
Did you?
When we were at the game.
Oh,
I-
I think you
That
did.
was like 2 years ago? 3 years
I
ago.
had-
that was
I-
when Yu Darvish was pitching for San Diego.
Yeah, and
We
they
got
just
hella good
what?
seats for
Wait, was that the purple
Jeez.
thigh sunburn game?
No, that was the
No,
Tacoma
that was
Marine
a-
Nurse game.
Okay.
Yeah. This was just a Thursday afternoon. Just decided to take a long lunch
Oh, I
and
remember
get
that.
on the Amtrak.
Hell yeah.
The second time to the Amtrak to the great state of Washington.
That's a beautiful train ride.
And
It is.
well, not anymore. They've changed the route, I believe.
Oh shit!
Oh, really?
Used to go.
Yeah. PSA. I think they got rid of like the sound portion of the.
Oh,
that
that
sucks. Because that's why it was a beautiful train ride.
Yeah.
You were just on the sound for like 75% of the time.
So much better than I
Yeah.
thought.
Well,
Way better.
that can be said for anything.
That's true.
I could be like on a porta potty on wheels rolling down the mountainsides, and it's still better than I-5.
You know what's not better than I-5 is the
7.
situation we're in right now and the sad departure of Trent Bray. That's not
I
better
thought,
than I-5.
I thought you were about to make a number-related joke there.
All right.
Speaking of
Let's
jokes,
do this.
I have one. I do have a joke. You guys want to hear it?
Oh, fine. Do you? I guess.
Knock,
But
knock.
yes, I do.
How long is this going to take?
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Owen. 0-7.
That hurts, man.
That would be funny if it wasn't true. Oh,
How long
man.
is this going to take? I deserved that. I'm not,
That hurts.
I'm not going to act like I did it. Yeah.
Okay.
It does.
This is a terrible segue, but let me ask you guys a question. The question that I think has sort of splintered Beaver Nation to a certain degree was firing Trent Bray right now the right decision? Terry, I'm going to start with you.
Was firing him right now the right decision? It's a loaded question because
Okay,
I he didn't refer to anything as a loaded question. Honestly, I don't really have a problem with Bray being fired. When your college football team goes 0-7, the head coach gets fired. That is a part of the reality of the world we lived in. That's not a new reality. That's just kind of how it's always been, fair or not fair. It's frustrating that it's happening with all of this other stuff going on concurrently, where it's clear that just the head coach being fired isn't going to be the necessary change to get back on the right path, and trust within the administration doing the firing is pretty splintered. So yes and no, I guess. Like I still like Bray, and I think he should be remembered fondly for the way in which he stepped into a position that he didn't ask for himself in a tough scenario. It never came to work the way we wanted it to, but he didn't get on that plane to East Lansing, and he could have. He didn't turn his back on a program when everyone else was turning their back on the program, and he could have, and he should be remembered fondly for that. And he should also be remembered fondly for being one hell of a defensive coordinator. We talked, even though all three of us were in unison, happy with Bray getting the job when he got the job. We all brought up different points about not necessarily, not worry is not the right word, but being interested if becoming a head coach was a step he could make. And he did not make that step. And also, having said all of those positive things about him, it started last year at that Air Force game. There were just inexcusable performances time and time again, and preparation and effort have been called into question constantly, not just by outsiders, but players and fellow coaches. So yeah, this is a move they make. I don't know if it will have any positive effect, but I also don't think, I was worried earlier in the year, what does it really achieve? But I also don't think it really sets you back either, because it was going to happen either way. So that's just kind of where I'm at, which is a very nihilistic view of it.
I think it was going to happen either way because of where things had progressed. And I think, to answer your question, Benny, yes, right now in a vacuum, it was the right call to fire any head coach. I think if you look at the entirety of all the context as Terry had laid out about why he was still here, how he was thrusted into the role, there's a lot of things that are like, you cut a little bit of slack, but I think there's a lot of things behind the scenes that led to us being here that made it more feasible for this team to be 0-7 and 1-13 or whatever in the last 14 games that aren't squarely on Bray. And also, as Terry had alluded to, that maybe things would have changed or come out differently had other changes occurred before. Not saying they were warranted to have changed before, because there was a lot of things I think that most of the public wasn't privy to, aware of, or wanted to acknowledge. But I would say in many other soon-to-be Pac-12 athletic departments, from the day the head coach and Trent Bray was announced to now, he would have had a lot better outcome than he had here.
I agree. And I think what it comes down to is taking emotion out of a business decision, right? Because college football is a business. And if it was a different athletic department that wasn't a dumpster fire right now, and it wasn't a coach who, like Terry said, had stuck around when he had all the reason to leave, when the program needed somebody to stick around, this would be a clear decision, right? You go 1-14 in your last 15 games. You're 0-7 to start the season, losing to teams that you are more talented than, making the mistakes that we've seen on the field, being completely unprepared, not being able to fire coaches when they probably should have been fired, allowing an offensive coordinator to continue to make play calls that he clearly was struggling with. This would be a very clear cut decision that I think anyone would get behind, but it is those sort of emotional factors that come into play that I think has Beaver Nation splintered. And my personal take is that it had to happen, and that it's just, at the end of the day, not acceptable to be 1-14 in your last 15 games. And we need to find a coach that did not have a lack of hunger. He obviously wanted to win, but we need a coach that can come in that has experience as a head coach. And we'll get into that later. But one other thing that I've seen Beaver Nation talk about is, well, it's the wrong decision because the players all came out and said that this was a bad decision. Which, let's just take a step back. When Smith left, all of the players wanted Bray to be there. And I also
don't think they're saying it's a bad decision because they think that Bray is a great coach. I think they have a great relationship with him, that he is a player's coach. But also, I think it is indicative of the things that they witness from a broader athletic department standpoint, and not saying that Bray's performance as a coach, it doesn't warrant a discussion, let alone a high consideration of moving on from that coach. But I think what they're saying is, like, you've jumped the gun almost. Like, there's something else first, that needed to be handled.
It's almost calling the kettle black with the athletic department.
Especially with the trust as within the athletic department as splintered as it is right now, it's like, okay, now look in the mirror, bros. And I don't doubt that the players have a great relationship with him, and I don't doubt the sincerity of their words. To be more cynical, though, like, they're showing and there's telling. Like, they're telling us that they wanted to play for Bray. There's been multiple performances where they didn't show that, and that included this past Saturday, where the players themselves were calling each other out for effort. You know, Jabari Johnson was doing that. Aiden Sullivan was asked straight up after the game, did the players quit on the team? And his response was, I can't answer that. Not fuck no. And like, it just, it was
that today?
He was interviewed? So far gone. Sorry, go ahead, Jay.
I was saying, Trent Walker was like, I think he was interviewed today, and he was essentially like saying that, yeah, he's pissed about it, but he's really just pissed, at least if I was reading between the lines, he said, quote, "I'm pretty pissed about it. And Coach Bray's a good friend of mine, even greater mentor and coach. It's definitely upsetting." And then he does get to the point that he's disappointed in a lot of things this season, disappointed how we've played. "I'm disappointed on where dudes are pointing fingers at." And then he says, "I'm disappointed in the decision because I feel Coach Bray has done a good job with us. And if you really look at the tape and look at it as a football point of view, it's us players that's messing up. It's not them." I mean, one, that's a great leadership perspective, but two,
I appreciate that a lot from Trent.
Yeah, but two, like sometimes you're put into the positions where you're not prepared, so you're gonna mess up, and that goes back. It falls back on the coaches, and then that the coaches, the assistants and staff, it falls back on the head coach, and then it falls back on the athletic director. And I guess what I want to get at is it does feel like the fingers are pointing, and they're clearly pointing past Bray. They're saying over there. So there is somebody who is ultimately responsible for all of this. No matter what, there's somebody who's ultimately responsible for all. And in the athletics side of Oregon State University, there's only one person that runs that side of the business. So I'm again reading between the lines. I think that there is a player problem. I wouldn't say that a player problem is because of a coach relationship problem. It might be a schematics and usage problem. Sure. I think a lot of people could see what that might be, but I also think that this is a department wide problem. And now it's showing its face very publicly in our most public sports as a university.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I think that, honestly, like my feelings are when it comes to the football program this year, it isn't a vacuum, but the performance ultimately does lie on Bray. Now, Barnes and Blaylock have a whole plethora of problems and destruction that they've created. But even with all of that that's going on, I think that a football coach who had experience, who could motivate his players, and like Bray clearly did motivate his players and was a great mentor. But when you have players that are getting fingers pointed at them for quitting on the team, it's a pretty good sign that you've lost the locker room. And I think that does fall on Bray. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. Barnes and Blaylock have a huge set of problems.
I mean, I don't know if there was a way to save a locker room given all of the external forces. However, I do want to remind everybody, and not to pick, okay, I'm going to pick on Barnes. I mean, the stuff that has been said by Scott Barnes this week in regards to his explanations for Bray's ultimate firing, you just go look back at that intro presser and look who looked the most excited about Trent Bray being the head coach.
He was.
Who slapped the 44 jersey on the guy?
So excited.
His head coach.
Barnes, you should have. I mean, if we could have started Barnes out middle linebacker in a game the next day, it would have gone great for us. He was ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a big guy.
So again, now the deflections are coming in about like, well, I was hoping that he could still do this, this, and this, and I just never saw X, Y, and Z. I mean, it's just, I could see why it's very difficult to operate within this athletic department as a coach, as a player, as a staffer, as an assistant, as anything, because ultimately there's one person that should be held accountable for everything, and all he's done publicly at this point is deflect accountability. And I can only imagine what it's like behind closed doors then.
Yeah. Well, and we've heard from multiple people that Barnes has sort of had a hands-off approach when it comes to decisions, really, or the everyday happenings in the athletic department. And I don't know if this is true, but one can only speculate that the fans were calling for Bray to be the head coach. The players were calling for Bray to be the head coach. But we had several other head coaches that were interested in interviewing for that head coaching position. And it doesn't sound like we took that seriously. And that does fall on Barnes because I think we can all agree
technically
that
interviewed 7 candidates. We have no idea how like the extent of those interviews or how long they were, but
I think he put
they came
Bray,
out and said that at the time. Not to say that means it's fact, but they did say that there are 7 candidates who were interacted with.
Which I just don't understand how you wouldn't
Brennan
go with
being the most serious.
That's
candidate.
Exactly where my head's at is with Brennan. Like, if he had a pedigree that would have trumped what Bray did, and I don't know if it came down to the worry about losing more players because you just lost a ton of players to Michigan State, and generally
it came down to money.
That's a very good point too.
It came down to money.
Yeah,
Brent Brennan has ties to Oregon State.
Yeah,
like
that's
not a stretch to be like, you could sell that story and be like, we're bringing him home. Like, he was buried in a coaching tree that he was never going to get his shot at the time when he wanted it. So he left and he's made the most of it. And we're bringing him home. And guess what? We're retaining Bray at the role he wants.
Defensive coordinator. Yeah.
Yes.
It would have been amazing.
Like
the players that you're hoping to retain by hiring Bray left anyway in the ensuing weeks. Like, so we should have seen the writing on the wall within weeks and chose to be optimistic, which I don't regret or anything. But the basic things you're hoping to accomplish by hiring Bray outside of just having maybe the lowest paid head coach in FBS or close to it, that went out the window before he even coached his first game.
Well, and sort of the tragedy that's lost in all of this is you're losing one of the best defensive coordinators in college football. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that Bray's going to go. He's going to be hired as a defensive coordinator somewhere, and he is going to step into that
role too. That first game in 21, when he took over for Tibbs, it was like, holy shit, this is a different defense.
Yeah, he's going to go somewhere and be great.
Same players.
Yeah.
By the way,
do you think Jonathan brings him to East Lansing in time to save his job?
I think his job's pretty solidified as being lost. I don't think he's going to keep
For the record, Brent Brennan's making $3.4 million, not including bonuses.
Okay.
It's 14th highest in the Big 12. And according to...
We're playing Bray around the same.
He's at Arizona, right? No, that's
He's Arizona. He's at Arizona.
Okay,
it's $2 million per year, but we just paid him with purely donor.
That's the other shit that I don't like about this is just the vague nature of them being able to say that like they have support for this from the highest paying donors, which is like, I know we don't want this to be a red pill blueprint sports episode, but like you suddenly just have the money for this buyout, but you haven't had that for not that. And I don't want this to turn into a red pill men's basketball episode either, but you've insisted, not necessarily in words, but in actions, that you don't have the money for Tinkle's buyout, and you've insisted you don't have the money for all these other things. And that's why you have to hire these outside companies. And you have to do all this convoluted stuff. But when it comes time to fire your 0-7 head coach, just because you need to have some kind of sacrificial lamb at a point when the most public sport is at its lowest point possible, you got to do something. So you snap your fingers and you got the money for the Bray buyout. Where was that effort?
That's what I...
Sure, he might not. He might not.
Or is he just saying that it's donor contributed and it's coming, that it's going to be
right?
We're going to earmark the money over the next whatever amount of years. Like,
we'll never be able to know that, but
we'll never know.
Well, it's a public university, so we should be able to. I'm not saying we will, but we should. But also, it's like, if the heat should be on Barnes right now, because if you can just come up with that amount of donor money right away, like, where was that at the beginning of this to make it easier for Bray, or to be like, because we talked about this season, trying to be a momentum builder for next season in the rejuvenated Pac-12. Like, you could have tried to do some kind of campaign to help springboard that and make it better. But all of a sudden now you can, rub your fingers together 3 times and come up with 3.8 whatever to fire the guy. Like, that energy should have been there in fucking January of 24.
Yeah. Well, okay. So where
had that been there in October of 23?
It was there.
When
it
there was
appeared
no
in the
deal.
form of an open letter to Beaver Nation saying the gloves are off, Beaver Nation, which we talked about on this podcast, being like, oh, I really hope we don't get one of those stupid fucking open letters. And then 2 weeks later, they published one on OSUBeavers.com. That's it all. It was a fucking checklist of the things we hate. The gloves are off, the Beaver way, the right way, built, not bought. And all of that was word salad to then do nothing. And that's what those letters always mean. And that's what it meant 2 weeks ago when he published another one, only to then fire Trent Bray a week later after publishing that word salad like it's a collab.
Yeah, well, like the quest to get back to our winning ways begins in earnest now.
In earnest.
Like whatever the fuck he said.
In earnest.
Yeah.
Okay, well let me ask you.
By the way, he got this money from a donor or donors, whatever, to
one donor who wanted
get
Bray out
rid
that bad.
of a hire he was clearly very, very excited about for whatever reasons.
Not long ago.
Rationale.
The most I've ever liked Scott Barnes during that press conference, by the way. And I've really liked Scott Barnes
put a contract in front of Jonathan Smith.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
What do we know about that?
I just know. We know.
So the root, like the idea
when Jonathan Smith said that the conference realignment played not a big or not a major role in his decision, he was not lying. And I hate defending the guy for how much I've hated him over the last 2 years.
Yep.
But he was not lying. He did not have a contract
ever put in front of him.
And
is what you're saying.
Do you recall the days before the Civil War game when he was, I think it was on with Canzano, either was the interview or transcription of
my agent best be doing his job and find out what's out there. Yeah.
That was shots fired. Think about that. That was shots fired to say, you don't even have an offer for me. So yeah, my agent better be doing his job. And that was public shots fired.
Which begs the question, and I've posed this on Twitter, and I got a lot of pushback. But is figuring that Jonathan Smith is going to be available at the end of the season. Number one, is he the best coach? Let's say he would consider coming back to Oregon State. If he considered coming back to Oregon State, would he be the best coach that would be available to us? And B, if he was the best coach that was available to us, would you accept him back as a head coach?
Would I?
As a fan, would you?
If I can do this for this,
admitting it, yes. I hate admitting that, but yes, and more so because if Jonathan Smith did come back, we've seen him build from what was previously our lowest of lows after the GA era. So we've seen that happen already. I know the circumstances were very, very different back then than they are at this point in time. But he did do this for us already. Mm-hmm. That's a plus. He is a Beaver student athlete, and that's something we've all discussed as being a differentiator with how you approach the things you do and the way you discuss and the love and passion that you portray for the university. I know that it doesn't look good, and it wasn't good the way he left it. And
it wasn't.
Screenshotted notes app farewell letter. However, like, if he comes back, that means that Scott Barnes isn't here. If he comes back, that means that Scott Barnes is not here, and I will take that over anything.
And that's a way that gives the fan base like kind of a workaround. And I think, Benny, it's a great question. I think it would need what JP mentioned to, come to light, that if Barnes truly was never serious about retaining Jonathan, then I think that buys some compassion from the fan base, because it was understood that there was an offer on there, and he took the one for $2 million. I think that the common assumption was it was the high fours that Oregon State could offer, and he got something like 6.5 from Michigan State. I do think the real reasons were the way he coached those last few games.
Could have been made up by these donors that we pulled out
exactly
to get rid of.
Where was that when you tried? And then maybe you only get him for one more year, and maybe he leaves for UCLA at that point anyway. That's a hard hypothetical to play with. It would obviously change everything. The question of if Michigan State fires him this year, and it's just kind of like, hey, you need a job, we need a coach, come on, man. It's just like, never leave in the first place. I think it's not like would I accept it. I would accept it in the sense that's like, I wouldn't be like, hey guys, I'm not doing the podcast anymore, I'm not going to games anymore. Fuck this. We have credible intel. We have credible intel that he quit on the team at the end of that season when they were ranked in the top 12. And
yes, that
any no-show from a player or an effort standpoint or a coaching staff standpoint that you're mad about in the Trent Bray era, you have to be equally mad about in the last in-conference Civil War game ever played, because that was pathetic, and I will blame Jonathan for that.
The reason he addressed it was because everyone knew it was going that way before the UW game.
Yeah, it was before the UW, and even if there wasn't a contract on the table at that point, which there should have been, you are still the head coach of a really damn good football team, which had a path beat UW Pac-12 championship game. So I will never fully forgive the end of that season, because that could have just been the great season that gets us through emotionally the next 30 years of whatever the fuck we're headed into. But that doesn't mean I would be totally against a reunion. I don't think Jonathan's open to it, especially, as you mentioned, JP, if Scott Barnes is here, because I don't, if that's true that Scott Barnes never even extended an offer, which we can't say more about it right now, I guess. But if that's just like, all right,
just put it on the list.
But yeah, if there are worse things that Oregon State could do than have them maybe the most awkward fucking reunion with the most awkward guy. But also, I'll say the reason most of that hurt, and it hurt as bad as it did, is because he was a hell of an Oregon State head coach, and I really believed in a glorious end game that he was capable of bringing into reality, and I thought he let that go. So that does make him a compelling candidate, and it doesn't look like he's having a great time at Michigan State. It doesn't look like anyone's having a great time at Michigan State. I don't think the relationship is long for this world.
I agree with you that I think it would take, just the backlash he got from fans, which, given the information we had at the time, that was, I feel like, justified.
It was valid
pushback.
It was
fully 100%. So I don't
everything
know
he said at that time too made it worse. But if he never
but,
got a contract offer, that adds some important context.
Yeah, I go back to what I said earlier of, you can't allow emotion to creep into what happens next for Oregon State. And I think Jonathan Smith, we covered A. B, would be the best coach available if he was interested. And I think that means you'd have to go with him. The pushback that I got was that I had mentioned he was a coach of a top 10 team at Oregon State. He got Oregon State into the top 10. We were number 10 when we were playing UW. And the pushback I got was, well, yeah, but that was when we were a Power 4 conference. Yeah, it was when we were in a at the time, Power 5 conference, but we were competing with the likes of USC and Oregon and UW and all these schools that had so much more money, and he was still able to outperform those schools. And so if you bring him into the revamped Pac-12, he should theoretically be able to put a team together that can compete year in and year out for the championship. Now, here's the other pushback that I got is, well, he left once. Who's to say that he won't leave again? I hate to break it to our listeners, but
that
right
can't
now,
be a fear
Oregon State is a stepping stone school. I hate to say that. I hate to think that, but it's true. If we have a coach that pops off, let's say I've heard Michigan or Montana State's coach being tossed in as a potential candidate. So let's say he comes to Oregon State and he wins a couple conference championships or
I'll take it. I'm in.
Yeah. But he's going to leave for a bigger school because somebody else is going to pay him more money and it's going to get him more exposure. Like, that's just going to happen. We can't allow that thought to prohibit us from going out and getting a coach, because that's going to happen for anybody.
Well, you parlay that into your next coach, and if they're successful, you parlay into your next coach. And again, it goes back to having
the athletic director,
athletic department. Yes.
Yep.
And having somebody that can select the right people frequently, potentially, to continue the momentum of the program, of which Scott Barnes has not done.
No,
he has not done.
And Jonathan Smith, I think it was telling where Jonathan Smith said that if my agent wasn't, I forget how he phrased it, but if my agent wasn't looking around, he wasn't doing his job
out there.
Like, what am I? Yeah, like, what am I?
I'll remember that forever, because I'm like, that's not how you talk, Jonathan. That's weird.
but that mentality,
that was petty anger.
He best me.
But that mentality is what the Oregon State athletic director needs to have. He needs to know, or she needs to know, that if Oregon State is going to have a head coach that does well, the chances of them leaving are pretty high. You need to already be thinking about, okay, who's going to be available? Who can we get? Yeah. So like JP said, like, you keep that ball rolling, and it has a way of doing that, right? Like, if a program is built and stable, then you're going to attract better coaches. So going back to my original point, yes, I think if Jonathan Smith was open to coming back, we absolutely have to entertain that.
I think there's another John you want to talk about on this episode. Not Jonathan. John David Gruden.
Yeah. Hey.
Out of the game for a bit, and also not really a college coach, but someone who's out there. He's available. We know he looks good in orange and black from that video that Barstool put out during the summertime.
I think that there are some other coaching candidates that it is a long shot, to say the least, probably more of a pipe dream, but coaches that are out of coaching right now for various reasons. And I think, like, you have to seriously consider, like, what are you willing to accept? First of all, are they willing to even entertain talking to you if you're the Oregon State athletic director? But, like, what are you willing to accept? And I'll give you one sort of...
Wait. Before we move on from Mr. Gruden, who obviously has baggage at this point, and he's been out of the game for a bit. We have it from sources.
Yeah.
Real sources, that when Jonathan Smith left the program and it sent Barnes and the department scrambling, there was a person that did want the job. He wanted that Erickson role, the redemption role, the save a program role, build something from nothing role. That was John Gruden.
When I heard that, my jaw hit the floor.
To the point where the Reeser family was willing to pony up to make sure we got him.
How substantiated is this rumor? Like, how much confidence you have in it that it was real?
I would say
it makes sense for Gruden, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't at that time. Now it makes sense for Oregon State because there's literally nothing to lose. Like, when Gary Anderson say it doesn't
to lose then. We've said this. We've been saying Oregon State has
Right, but
nothing
we
to
have-
lose for 3 years. And we've
It was
done everything
understandable
to
that the
lose.
athletic department wouldn't operate that way. The athletic department's going to operate with a whole new level of desperation now, or they fucking should.
They won't.
Then-
Dinosaurs. No, they won't. No, they
Sure,
won't.
but
No, they
I'm
won't.
saying they need to. I think there was something more
The
to
people
lose.
in the building, or they as in the entity?
The entity, both actually.
Okay.
I'd say they both. I'm saying they both need to, not they both will. But I also think there's a humbling. That's the wrong word too. I think there is a reality check, maybe not a perfect word, that comes with the current status that makes where you may have laughed off returning John Gruden's phone calls in 2023. You're like, well, that's a lot of publicity, whether it's good or bad, it's publicity. And also, this is show business. So even if Gruden is a bad hire, they might not know that. Do you guys know the last year Gruden was coaching in college football?
1991 as a receivers coach at Pitt.
God damn it. You're on his Wikipedia too, Benny. Yes, 1991. Great year. The receivers coach of the Pittsburgh Panthers. That's Larry Fitzgerald was a receiver then. No, he was. Larry Fitzgerald was not there at that point.
I was going to say,
It's even older
How
than
many
that.
years did he go to Pitt? Yogi Roth was
and
a
then
receiver then. No,
he
just
was
kidding.
with
Sorry,
he was
Yogi.
with the Packers on some truly good offensive Packers teams. Sorry to say, Eagles, then Raiders head coach, Bucks head coach, Raiders head coach, Saints consultant, big NFL guy.
Her head coach.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that's an alternate universe.
That is an alternate universe. And also, I don't really like Gruden, nor convinced he'd do a good job, but it would be fireworks.
I mean,
And-
he's obviously a tool, but like I enjoyed
Also,
him.
head coaches are
from
insane.
yeah, yeah.
For the
But
most part.
But just for a second, just for I don't know, to feel worse. Imagine a John Gruden led team with Trent Bray leading the defense.
Yeah. Wow. Fuck.
That would be Gruden could legitimately hire Bray as DC, and I think Bray wouldn't just like come back right away. I don't think. But,
Not if Barnes was still here.
Way.
But or to do it and just like stand outside of Barnes's bedroom window and stare at him with his arms crossed all night. Like
I saw a video of that.
Do it. Belichick might be available soon.
Yeah. Well, Jesus. Yeah. That is the worry, right? Like you could have a great NFL coach that comes back and pulls a Bill Belichick. You
Right.
could also have a great NFL coach that comes back and pulls a Dennis Erickson. Although Erickson did have a lot more experience in college.
In college. And would have
Yes.
been just like
And
newly
he was always
fired
a
from the
better
NFL.
college coach.
He was not a great NFL coach.
Erickson got canned
No, I
by
can
the
tell you
Seahawks
firsthand.
and called Oregon State maybe that same day. What jobs are in my time zone? Riley's going to the Chargers. What a mistake. That team's a clusterfuck. Junior Seau was the only pro football player on that team.
I know that people. Here's what I think I want to transition to this too, but I do want to pose this question. People want the young and hungry coach, as Penny you had alluded to, or Terry, who I don't know, what I was talking about, stepping stone, and like we're going to get somebody and they're going to find something else. But like,
I'm for the second chance, the retread, old guy.
I want the retread, and the reason why is look at every successful era of Oregon State football.
Yeah.
And outside of Johnson Smith, it's been retreads. It really has been two. It's been Dennis Erickson and it's been Mike Riley.
Yeah.
But again, retreads.
Right.
They didn't last in the NFL. Their NFL careers were over.
They learned something from previous stops and they took it to Corvallis. And
I mean, Riley is a weird one because he was already at Oregon State and then went to the NFL and then came back to Oregon State. But still, like
Riley's an anomaly in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And I adore him. I'm not. I'm stop putting Mike Riley's name in head coaching candidate conversations. Let that man rest.
Yeah.
Number one. My favorite candidate, and Benny, I'm going to give you credit for this because you mentioned it in the group chat, and we can probably talk about it a bit more here. We don't need to talk for 10 minutes about every candidate who's out there right now. Like, let's resurrect Vince Lombardi, blah blah blah.
Try
But we
again.
can. But I wouldn't be super surprised. I'd say it's around, it's still in the single-digit % chances, but I think there'd be mutual interest. And that Benny mentioned him the other day, Ed Orgeron.
Ed Orgeron State.
Ed Orgeron State, baby. He has coached on the West Coast before. Southern guy, but also Riley was a Southern guy.
How can you tell he's a Southern guy?
Is it how he talks?
He opens his mouth and gumbo comes out. That's how you can tell.
Yeah.
That's how you can tell.
Yeah. It's like the old Snapchat filter where the rainbow falls out of your mouth when you open your mouth. For him, it's just gumbo.
Right.
Just shrimp and grits.
The greatest Cajun accent in the world, Ed Orgeron State, the type of guy who I think, will get his hands dirty. And
Dude can recruit.
Dude can recruit. We haven't seen him much in this current climate of college football, but he's the type of personality that I don't worry about in this current climate of college football. Talk about rubbing your hands together and coming up with money. He has done that more than a time or two. I would love kicking the tires on Ed Orgeron, and he was very good at USC. He kind of got fucked when he didn't get that job. Detour to LSU, and then when they fire Les Miles, he gets the interim tag and does well enough to play there. And what wasn't all roses, but he assembled or helped assemble and coach arguably the greatest college football team of all time with that Burrow, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson team that won the national championship. And man,
you want to talk about? I think you had said it when the whole blueprint thing came out, where you're like, I want our program to be shady in certain ways.
In the
I
cool
don't
way.
want them to be shady
In the
this
cool way.
Ed Orgeron would be shady in the cool way.
In all the cool ways.
Yes. Now he does have, but he comes with the stigma because there was that sexual abuse case that was brought to him by about one of his coaches, and he didn't do anything about it. And so that's where I say, like, what are we willing to accept? Personally, I would accept that. Now, if he was the one
ask him that in the interview,
doing that particular act, like, absolutely not. But I will say, and I don't necessarily like saying it, I am willing to look past a lot more right now than what I was when Smith left. Like, as long as we don't have somebody who's going out and actively hurting people, I'm willing to accept a certain level of
past
shadiness.
Negligence.
Forgiveness.
Yeah, for sure.
Forgiveness for a guy who left all his gear at Goodwill.
Yeah.
Level of forgiveness.
Well, someone who wouldn't even need to swing by Goodwill because he's already got the colors and he's already got the acronym. Can just come right up to Corvallis. And that's Mike Gundy. Another guy we're not going to get, and maybe the game's passed him by. And he's also got a lot of baggage in those suitcases he'd be bringing with him. But
bodies, too, probably.
Oregon State hires Mike Gundy. I'm 100% more interested than I am right now. I'm not 100% more confident that it's going to lead to anything, but I'm tuning in. I'm absolutely tuning in if Oregon State hires the guy who once yelled, "I'm a man, I'm 40. All of our 40th birthdays are coming up soon. And that's going to be so fun if that man is the Oregon State head coach when those days come. Just do it for the content. We should make a Sora
video of us doing that for our birthdays.
Oh,
but Terry, you have to get on Sora first.
So if we'll revisit this, if Gundy is Mike Gundy, not our current Gundy. I'll give him first name, last name treatment for now. If Mike Gundy is the head coach, I will consider joining Sora.
What here? Did you hear about?
Yeah, it's $50 million.
But he has to look for a new job now. Like, what does that really mean?
There are other head coaching jobs too.
But the stipulation is if he gets hired, no matter what he gets paid, Penn State has to cover the rest, right? So Oregon State could go out and
be like,
hire
"Hey,
him
we'll
for
hire you for
$100,000, or you could have UCLA go out and hire him for
that money
$6
runs
million.
out.
But like, he would get the program set back on track. My point is that if he could go to Oregon State and get paid $100,000 or go to UCLA and get paid $8 million, and at the end of the year he gets paid the same amount. So, but also, I don't think James Franklin's coming to Oregon State.
Well, wait, because you got to look at like UCLA, and UCLA is not this exemplary football program or athletic department by absolutely any means. They're in more dysfunction
versus Corvallis.
I know, but they're maybe in more dysfunction than we are historically, at least publicly. Historically.
Probably.
And do you want to go in Pasadena where you have the LA Times and you've got everyone looking at you, or do you want to go somewhere where you can feel safe?
Are the LA Times really looking at Bruin football? It's a valid point, but I'm just talking shit about UCLA's placement in the LA sports site.
They want controversy.
I don't know where it is.
LA Times wants controversy. So, or you come.
I don't even know if they know that the Chargers have arrived in town yet, based on the way that paper
there's no controversy there. They're just boring.
But here's sort of the thing, right? It's like, if you're the athletic director, you better be picking up the phone and calling those guys, because the chances that they say yes are very slim. But if you get one of those guys, whether it's Gundy, whether it's Franklin, whether it's Orgeron, whether it's Gruden, like, if one of those guys bites, it's worth, like, if any one of those guys came to Oregon State to be a coach, I would be so happy.
Do you want Scott Barnes and committee, I guess, making that call?
No.
Oh, yeah. Well, here's the reality, guys. It's going to be Barnes and committee and search firm making the call. We can talk about this, but he's going to be there.
Or do you? And then even if it works out, they make the call and it lands, and we bring in one of those guys. Do you want Scott Barnes directing things in a situation where we're like, this has to work? Like this literally has to work.
Yeah.
There is no coming back from this hire.
There's not. It feels like there's no coming back from where we are right now.
I think there's still room. There's still room to redeem everything.
We were a top 10 school less than 3 years ago, less than 2 years ago.
But also, like, we have the excuses of everything that's been used by the athletic department for their own protection. But I do think we have those same excuses as just a broader program that buys us the ability to bounce back. But if we fail when we are now relegated to this new conference that, by the way, Scott Barnes, I mean, how many times have I said Scott Barnes this episode? But like, also touted about it being a great thing. If you didn't read or listen to any of his interviews last week.
I did. We're going to be the top funded school in this new conference. Constantly.
Yeah, before we were like, trying to keep up, and we were, doing it our way to like beat,
now we will be the
dogs
most funded school.
No, we're the top dog or whatever. It's like, congrats, man. Like you let a school fall so far that it fell through the ground and landed at the top of hell. Like, way to go.
Right. It's like when you get held back in school, you're the biggest kid on the jungle gym, but that's because you're supposed to be at a different school. But
right. Yeah, you're supposed to be in high school, bro.
I'll tell you,
why are you on the playground?
I'm the biggest fifth grader out here, dude.
To sort of wrap up the coaching conversation,
don't wrap it up.
We need to go
I have one more.
Okay, well,
go.
The last thing I'll say is we need to go one of two ways. Either hire a head coach that is in like FCS right now that's doing really well, or go out and hire a big name. What you can't do, I guess this is what I'm trying to say. What you can't do is hire another coordinator. You have to find somebody who knows how to run a team. What keeps getting stuck in my head is Trent Bray saying, I'm not a CEO. That's not the type of person that I am.
That's not everyone.
To have a CEO. You need to have somebody who can run the program.
Okay.
Before you close this, on that comment about the CEO, and we talked with this, ourselves, maybe on the show a few times, but like when that quote came out, I felt very bad about this season right away.
Yes.
This was like August.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Maybe. Very, very bad. More so because saying it felt like an admission and like in preparation of things falling apart. Also, like you have to think back about around that same time that's when Aki got hired as an assistant to the head coach. And what was touted about he
can handle the CEO duties.
Bingo. And so both of those, now thinking back, because I didn't talk about this before, I didn't really think about it before, but thinking back now that he's named interim head coach, something tells me that this was always like the plan A, B. It wasn't plan A, but it was there. Like,
I think it was a fear
as a
from
safety net,
and maybe already in the works to be like, if there's a chance to get rid of Bray and move on from this, we've got a guy that checks those boxes that are making us not comfortable about Bray. And now even more so with Barnes coming out and being like, he just never embraced the CEO role. He didn't want to run the enterprise. And yeah, he told you that.
Yeah.
At
Publicly.
least you.
right.
Publicly.
And you risk that not mattering.
Months ago.
And
Yeah.
it's on both of you, but you're the one who's still here and you're the one who can fire
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
This wouldn't appease those fears, but I wanted to have a more realistic head coaching candidate out there. And they're like, I think any realistic candidate, we would have some concerns and some questions, and whether it would be a home run. It's certainly not a home run, but I could see it working. And that is current Seattle Seahawks special teams coordinator Jay Harbaugh is a Beaver, ticks that box, coached as a student assistant while he was in Oregon State, same time as we were. Bloodlines, son of Jim, nephew of John, grandson of Jack.
It's biblical,
and spent a lot of time with Michigan. Great program. Baltimore Ravens, great program. Currently with the Seahawks, which I know doesn't do a lot for you two Niner fans. But I will say this, because coordinators, yes, always a weird thing. If you look at the coaching history of a lot of coaches, a lot of great coaches have spent a lot of time before they're head coaches on special teams. And special teams is a very important part of the game, as we've seen this year and talked about more than I ever want
Are
to.
you sure
but
about
also,
that?
if you are a special teams coach, you are coaching players who play both offensive and defensive positions as their primary positions. And that lends itself to better development to be in a CEO role who can oversee the whole operation. I don't know. That does not mean that it would work. But if you were like, hey, this player panel and all this stuff has come up with 5 names, and I saw Jay Harbaugh's name on that list, I'd be like, oh, Jay, yeah, let's talk about him. I'm interested. Like you guys mentioned, not a lot of people have this job at the top of their list, but he's, younger guy with a ton of experience though at the same time. So that's the kind of the one not enormous name, but has the right last name that would grab some attention. I've only heard good things about him.
And maybe he'll be our new Heisel
in the business, and maybe he'll be our new Heisel, the new Heisel.
Yeah, that new. Cue the Kid Cudi. JP, please play 5 seconds of Kid Cudi, that new.
Can we bring?
I
want to bring 5 seconds back. That's where this athletic department went wrong. All right.
Yeah. Give us the rights. That's where they went wrong. Yeah, that was it. Not
Any
all
other
the
bandits in Russia.
Yeah,
any other?
They were the reason we got banned in Russia.
Any other random names for coaches? You guys want?
But I do like the Jay Harbaugh. I do like. I'll say Jay Harbaugh. Great beard, great
just
hair
as a
color.
call out.
Him and I are.
He looks a lot like you, JP.
I know, and you know what? When you're born with orange hair, you're
you go to an orange school.
Yeah, and I think he'd be a very intriguing name. My fear again is if this was 2
He could
years
use some
ago.
more seasoning.
If it was 2 years ago, I would be very into it. At this point in time, I'd have to think that's going to be a difficult task. Again,
He's probably
unless
he probably has a really stable contract
Dennis
with the
Erickson becomes our
Seahawks.
AD or something, and Jim retires from the NFL and is
assistant.
Deputy athletic director, chief operating officer, head of compliance.
I love how this
we know
started
he
with, hey,
follows rules.
realistic coaching idea. And now it's Dennis Erickson, Jim Harbaugh, Jay Harbaugh, three-headed monster that's running the entire show. Are you the president of the university in this situation, JP?
Yeah. I mean, that was my undercover name. Jaffy. It's just JP, but no one put that together. That's okay.
All right. Well, I like this diabolical plan. We'll turn the corner in no time.
Plans. We got diabolical plans. Is that a good segue to me reminding everybody that in less than 1 week's time, we should have a response from the university about our public records request?
Great time for that.
To diabolically get more information regarding the decision-making process or lack thereof that the athletic department put into selling our souls to Blueprint Sports, where every other athletic department decided these guys suck and there's no ROI and there's no value and there's dysfunction galore. It feels a lot like a marriage made in heaven, but I promise you when we get our records, it's going to be a messy divorce.
Yeah, I almost think we should wait to record the pod until we get those records.
Well,
we might not get them. Couldn't they be like...
we're going to get them. They have to give us something. But there's kind of two things that have been top of mind for me that I think we shouldn't make the listeners privy to. One is that they can redact anything they think is in the best interest of protecting the university. So that means that there are potential, comments, emails, figures around financials that could be redacted. It could be a whole lot more if they really just wanted to stick it to us.
Given a lot of this blew up after they granted that request to Sportico, they might be more on edge.
Yeah.
They might redact more.
Yes. And also given that our request was submitted the day before the Sportico article came out.
What timing?
And
great minds.
And got confirmation. I don't know, confirmation 2 days later, Benny, because I was waiting a day to hear back. Didn't hear back. You circled back to make sure that they had received it. And then we got confirmation the next day. So October 21st is the deadline. So again, redaction could play a big part in the information that we get. It would be very telling if a lot of it or pretty much anything substantial and of use was redacted. Two, it could be very expensive. It could be very, very expensive. And I really love this university and I really, really don't trust this athletic department. And as much as I would love to figure out if the things that I have heard and the dots I've connected on my own are factual and backed with substantial evidence, I don't know about ponying up, multiple thousands of dollars to get access to documents that could be redacted. However, I will make sure that I am very transparent about what the fees are supposed to be. I did request that the fees are waived because that is like a thing in their request where you can say that the fees are negotiable and waived based upon if it's deemed to be in public interest or something, or the best interest of the public. I truly feel that these records are, and everything that we have learned up until this point is there's a lot likely in those records that are going to potentially put a lot of people far away from our university. And that being said, if you see a post from our accounts that says, here's the bill, who wants to help? It is truly to get those records and we will make them public. It is not to like fund our
And
efforts.
100% of those will go to
100%
obtaining the records.
Yes. Yeah.
How fucked up would
we're not
it is? And
siphoning.
75% of that just goes to JP to do with what he wants, and 25%.
Right.
Christmas is coming up.
Up until the first $750, it's all going to the records. But after that,
speaking of, I know we're getting up on it, but like I do want to hear your guys' perspective about Barnes's position around, or Barnes's stance around the GM position. I mean, for clarity's sake, just to rehash things, when Damnation was sold, part of the announcement was that Kyle Bjornstad wasn't going to go anywhere, that he was being brought in as the GM of Oregon State Athletics, and that Scott Barnes is super excited about keeping him on board and involved. They talked about Justin Johnson, is that his name? Being promoted to the NIL business manager as well. Obviously, that didn't work out with Kyle resigning shortly after the Sportico article came out. And then shortly after Kyle put in his resignation, it was reported by Ryan Harlan on 3 Sports, on 3.com, that Justin Johnson, I believe is his last name, I don't have it in front of me, but he had also moved on from the university. And
a lot of people,
whether that was a resignation or otherwise, either way, the two names that Oregon State listed about putting in positions of, importance within the NIL landscape for the university in-house, blah, 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 are no longer there. And now this week, the last few days, Scott Barnes is downplaying the importance of, one, the title that was clearly provided and given and agreed upon with Kyle, and calling it a misnomer. And then two, talking about the lack of importance around a GM role, saying that it can be handled by multiple people on staff already. And he alluded to Stanford and Andrew Luck as the, antithesis of it all, saying we're not going to do it like Stanford because we're not Stanford. And like,
shocking.
Is it a GM? Like, there's no point, like, or do I think it's like it's worthwhile or whatever to have a GM where like all the head coaches report to them? No, like point blank, he said no about it. And as he queued up his own answer. I want to hear what you guys think about his stance, given what we know, have heard, have read, where we're at. How do you feel about him essentially saying that the GMs are not important in college athletics in this day and age?
I think that it's just a sign of the total and utter dysfunction within the athletic department, right? Like you said, Barnes is excited to announce that Kyle is going to be the GM. And I think taking just a step back from what the GM role is, it's a sign, I guess, going to any experience that I've had. If you have a number of people in prominent positions that leave, that is a sign that the leadership is not doing a good job and that morale is bad and that they're not doing their part in creating a work environment where you can be successful. That sort of goes along with what we've heard. And those typically are the worst type of bosses to have. So I think that this solely falls on Barnes, and from what we've heard, probably falls a little bit more on Blaylock, where you just have someone that is power hungry, that's running a department that is all of a sudden changing positions, changing job descriptions, and really like fucking with people's careers. So I think my takeaway is that it's less about this specific situation and more telling of exactly what's going on in this athletic department. And it is really not good.
Yeah. But hold on, Terry, before you go, just to add some color, this is in the press release, jointly released by Blueprint Sports and Oregon State University. It is posted on OSUBeavers.com, written by Athletic Communications. And it says, quote, in addition to Bjornstad's role, which Kyle Bjornstad had said earlier, he couldn't be more excited about the opportunity to serve as OSU Athletics general manager. They said Justin Johnson assumes the position of NIL business manager, a full-time NIL dedicated post that provides additional support to student athletes and sponsors via Beaver Sports Properties, Camp Learfield. Then, this is a quote from Scott Barnes. Kyle stepped up and did a tremendous job during his time running Damn Nation as he hands that off to Blueprint Sports. By the way, there's a lot of things I've been analyzing. I actually have reanalyzed 14 pieces of coverage around this deal and all the fallout thereafter. In the last couple of days, I've been reading the quotes and the positioning and the way that things are framed. And boy, is there a ton of inconsistencies and contradictions and walking things back. It is a den of lies, to be honest, because then
That's a great way to put it.
Here's what he says as he hands off, which
Is telling.
which is not the case, because also there's a quote from Brent Blaylock, and I think it's with Canzano. It might
What's
be
the end of
Joe
this
Beaver
quote?
show. I know, hold on, but he says something like, well, Kyle sold Damnation to Blueprint. Like he selected and sold Damnation to Blueprint, so we're kind of stuck with it, was a defense that Brent Blaylock gave in an interview. And I have the quotes. It is real. And anyways, as he hands that off to Blueprint Sports, whatever that insinuates, we are thrilled to be able to retain him as our general manager, said Barnes in the press release.
Yeah, it's a disaster. I don't think anyone would say it's not. The little bit of, it's not even grace. It's not even understanding. It's just, I think the GM role at Oregon State, but also at a lot of universities, is just kind of opaque because it hasn't existed before. So that's where I'm like, I can't sit here and say with conviction exactly what I want that role to look like or the type of person I would want heading it up. But I can tell you for damn sure, I wouldn't want the first foray into appointing someone for that position to have gone as horribly as this has gone, especially with someone like Kyle, who has done so much for Oregon State athletics, basically nonstop since he was a freshman at Oregon State many years ago. Not to make you sound old, Kyle, you're the same age as we are on this podcast. But yeah, I think the one little bit is I can't pretend to have, all the answers because I haven't seen this job in action in an effective way because it hasn't existed in previous iterations. But yeah, it's a disaster. It's one of many concurrent disasters happening right now. And the inconsistencies and den of lies, as you referred to, doesn't make that any better or make me feel like they're going to get their way out of this anytime soon.
Well, how about this? Ryan Clark interviews Scott Barnes yesterday, October 13th, and asks him, why did general manager Kyle Bjornstad resign? And of course, he says, you'll have to ask him about that. And if you weren't on the not digital damn space on X last night, you probably could still listen to the recording. Both Ryan Clark and Kyle Bjornstad were on the space. I didn't listen to it live. I listened to it later in the evening when I was just browsing and saw that it had happened. It was interesting. It felt like there's one side potentially navigating the rough waters to make sure the things that were said are going to land well. There's another side that is going full bore, tear down everybody, no prisoners. And this might explain which sides I'm talking about. Barnes responded with, you'll have to talk to him about that, but let me talk about the position because it's evolving. And two pieces. One, as we analyze that, we have the funds to hire somebody else. But as we look at the cycle, the inefficiencies and the effectiveness of trying to bring somebody in right now compared to the bandwidth that we have some excellent folks in our operations. Who is the chief operating officer, by the way, that can shore this up and do really well with it. And then this is the part that just infuriates me. And there's a few things we've learned. Did they learn this from the Blueprint Sports data that they stole from SANIL by pretending to acquire them only to back out at the last minute and let the sale fall through and SANIL collapse? Maybe, because they also touted the data that they could get from them. And that was the important part of the non-acquisition, was that they had access to this data already. He said, one is that the data to understand slots and value is growing exponentially. How did it grow exponentially, Scott? Was, again, fraudulent access to data of a business that was not fully acquired yet integrated into systems in a business that you partnered with in very shady circumstances. And we will definitely expose how and why those are shady. Anyways,
Scott Barnes has the chance to do literally the greatest thing ever right now. And that is
resign.
Hashtag JP for GM. Y'all have resisted bringing the belligerent Beavs into the fold for 5 years now. Even when we were spouting nothing but positivity, man, your boy is making a great case. Unintentionally, because I know it's a shittier job than the one you currently have, JP. But your phone should be ringing from Scott himself.
I got plenty of time
to be the GM of Oregon State.
I would
Athletics.
never work with that man. I would never work with that man. I love this university too much to let my talents go to waste under him. The part that pisses, and here's where it pisses me off. Obviously, we have so much more information now to make good decisions in the marketplace as we're going out to hire. Secondly, what we've learned is that there's just not much negotiating. We don't need an NFL GM to negotiate. There's just, particularly with the more data that we have, there's not a lot of negotiating. And he says, there's a couple places weird. Where you will negotiate, but mostly say, here's the slot value and here's what we're doing. Take it or leave it. And he blames on the agents and everything else. But like, bro, if you're just saying there's not room to negotiate and that we're not going to be negotiating, we don't have to negotiate, all you sound like is a tired, sad old man. Then he talks about, again, number one, I think that the general manager position is a misnomer unless you're going to build something like Stanford did, where you have a head coach reporting to the general manager, and we're not doing that. No, it just doesn't fit. Like, that was the first part of his answer to, would it not be helpful to have a single front-facing person in the GM position during this time when you're also searching for a head coach? He immediately downplayed the importance of having somebody do this.
Nothing would be helpful because we can't be helped.
Yeah, exactly.
No. Well, this sucks.
And then, not doing that. No, it just doesn't fit. In fact, most of America, it doesn't fit, which is absolutely bogus, backwards. See, all the other people behind the bar are doing it.
I understand there are more programs in the have-nots than the haves, but you shouldn't ever say actually for most of America. That doesn't make sense in any line of questioning at your day job. This feels like you might be overstepping with,
or maybe you should remember all the times you talked about Oregon State being a unique and special place, and that we do things our way, and
the Beaver
maybe
way.
Maybe most of America isn't doing it, but we're gonna fucking do it and do it fucking great. Like, what? This goes back to, again, the rev share stuff. I just feel like I'm harping on the same shit, but like, it goes back to the rev share stuff of him being like, we're not going to be near the 20.5 million. Like, the ruling just came down, and that's like your first comment on it, is that we're not going to be near it.
Low for himself, almost as a protection mechanism, right? Like,
just like why he's using a committee to hire this time around, so he can insulate himself from any sort of backlash of a bad hire. He'd be like,
Right.
well, I had two ex-players on the committee.
It's gonna
plus
be like,
donors and
Brandon Cooks and Tim Ewis are
Murphy.
gonna help with the hire, so he'll just blame them.
Yeah.
And he would. That man will throw any and everybody under a bus in order to save his own ass, even though because his head is so far deep in the sand, he has no idea that people aren't idiots and they can connect the dots back to him being the sole responsibility for this athletic department and all of its failures under his watch. And I know he talks, man, I'm just going, and because I'm fucking pissed. But he talks about, the getting back to winning, and he talks about, he touts all his head coaches that he's hired that are Power 5 coaches, and there's actually less than he's said, and they haven't done very well after they were no longer employed by him. But let's just put this out there. The 5 years before Scott Barnes, I did the math. I went on OSUBeavers.com and I went through every single text-based results of seasons for pretty much every sport. Gymnastics has head-to-head, baseball, softball, men's soccer, women's soccer, football, volleyball, men's basketball, women's basketball, and wrestling are really the only ones that have win-losses that are trackable and in the same sense of it being a team effort to have a singular win or loss result. Anyways, I went back all the way to 2012. That's 5 years before Scott Barnes. In the 5 years before Scott Barnes, Oregon State collectively across all of those programs and win percentage essentially was 0.568. Okay, so a little over 500. But after Barnes, and since 2017 onward, we are 0.5565. So if anything, you take I couldn't go back and do the fucking 8 years because I just was not trying to calculate, 180 rows of data. But I thought 5 years was a good enough sample size to say, where were we currently when he joined? And we have actually been overall worse since Scott Barnes became our athletic director. And yes, there have been very exciting, promising seasons rewarded with championships, whatever. But it's not like those didn't happen before Barnes. But there are some, give that credit to those teams. They probably are the ones plumping up that win percentage, because now you go to the big four: men's basketball, women's basketball, football, and baseball. And before Scott Barnes, 0.6274 win percentage. After Scott Barnes, 0.6188. Now, realignment took a tiny little bit of a hit after Barnes. Before that, it was 0.62266, slightly under what it was before Barnes for the big four. And after, it's been 0.6061. Anyways, my point is, he's not a winner. He cannot tout that he's a winner. He cannot tout that he's been a successful athletic director at hiring coaches. He cannot tout that he has had the best track record for giving the right coaches the right contracts and sustaining success with said coaches. He cannot tout that he's given coaches the right contracts to begin with, because he didn't give Jonathan Smith the contract at all. He was waiting for him to come back and lean on his loyalty to the school. I do not want this guy anywhere near anything that's happening going forward. Nothing. Do not help him. Do not enable him to hire a coach. Do not enable him to have a committee. Do not enable him to do anything else to this university, because if he does, it's just going to backfire. It is going to die.
I've got terrible news. Be sure he's going to be the one making all these decisions.
I'm just saying, we'll see.
And I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't see him resigning. I don't see him getting fired. I don't see him leaving. I think this is our leadership for the foreseeable future.
Have a little bit of hope.
I do.
Let's just say that there are some birds in our ear. We have sources to corroborate it, but have been told things could be going down in the next week or two.
Nice.
Fucking fingers crossed, man. If we could make that change before we have to hire a football coach, that would be just
The new football coach is Pablo Torre.
Would
And
it
he's
be
bringing Pablo
would it be
Torre fans out to
poetic?
Corvallis.
Would it be poetic if the shit goes down in 1 week when we get our records and we hold these records and go, why? What do we have these for now? Everything that it could have done.
Everyone's fired,
has
and then the
been
next
done.
day they go, "Here are your fucking records. Do what you want
Yeah,
with these." Everyone knows
nothing
everything now.
happened.
Oh,
It would not surprise me.
if only. Well, you know what? What else? Oregon State versus Lafayette, 7 p.m. at Reser Stadium on Saturday.
Didn't think I'd be
Catching
saying
up to
this at the
CW.
beginning of the season, but could be a good game.
It's gonna be a good game. The Leopards are coming, and they smell blood.
The leotards.
Oregon State.
The leopard leotards.
Oregon.
And we haven't mentioned this. Ryan Gunnarsson will not be calling plays.
No, Langsdorff is back. I remember
Isn't
being
back,
a college. I know, but Langsdorff is back play calling, and I remember being a college student a million years ago, fed up with Langsdorff's play calling.
You
And now
love
it's like-
Langsdorff, Terry.
I had strong feelings for Langsdorff for sure. And now we're back, and God damn it, I have to say honestly, Danny,
Yes.
really happy to see you.
Yes,
really
sir.
happy to
As I
see
say.
you with that playbook in
Just
your
when you
hand.
think it couldn't get any worse, it actually gets better.
Oh,
Could I have
wow,
been
for
wrong
once.
as a 21-year-old student reporter? Yes, I
No,
could have
Terry,
been.
No, Terry,
Thank you,
stop
Benny.
it.
Anytime I try to be modest, Benny's like, "Do you know what fucking podcast you're on, dude? Come on."
Dude, the back page of the barometer was entirely you for one
was-
day.
For one day, it
Every
was
That
article.
was so
my
funny.
parents still have a copy of it.
Do they?
Yeah, it was
It's an accomplishment that can probably
recap,
never be broken.
Feature column all by me.
I probably didn't write
Good.
that many words in my 6 years of college.
No, remember
What
when we
was
used to get beers at Bombs Away, then go to Art 300 or whatever, and half the time I'd be waiting
I love
for
that
you.
there's 100 after that. For a second, like we went to Art 3. It was the one single digit course listing, just Art 3.
It was
So-
It was the
really good
it was the
finger
professor.
painting.
It was the professor that would always talk about he knew Katy Perry or something. I don't know, whatever that. He was great.
He was just talking
But
about Terry's
you-
mom.
Yeah, he did. This is how I'm bringing it together. So
It was
then
me.
He was showing
It
showing
was me.
artwork of Katy Perry,
What?
Terry Horseman. But anyways,
Was
I would
this
be
during
waiting at
fall?
Bombs
Did
Away
you
for
make
you.
the turkey drawings with the little like hand tracings? Or
Yeah, and then
No,
they had
it
the
was-
Elmer's glue where you could put like little feathers on it.
Dude, I wish I had taken more classes like that in college. It's amazing how much was there to offer at OSU.
Wasn't it
What
art
was it?
history?
Yeah, it
Anyways,
was art history.
Benny never showed up. He never showed up. I
He
was
was at
waiting at
Bombs
Bombs
Away.
Away. No, I was waiting at Bombs Away to have a beer with you before class. And I'd be like, "Are you coming?" And you'd be like, "No, man, I don't know about today. I don't think I'm going to make it." I was
Dude,
like,
I still have nightmares,
then you'd make it to the
night
post.
terrors of not showing up to class and then showing up to class and them having a test or them
"Oh, I did that one."
scolding me for not showing up to class.
And I've had those same dreams. It was a History 201. I went to the first day,
That
got
could
the
happen.
syllabus, and then some reason decided or forgot about ever going again until I looked at the syllabus and was like, shit, our midterm is tomorrow. And it was one midterm. No, it was
In
just a
art
final.
class too,
Like,
those
oh.
usually like have like attendance is like a quarter of the grade.
Yeah, well, no, this is history. And I showed
Okay.
up.
That's why I
I
didn't
showed
do
up.
very well.
I showed up for the final.
Thanks for bringing it up.
And I remember this guy next to me. He looks at me and he goes, "You're still in this class? I totally thought you dropped it." And I was like, "So did I."
Should have.
Yeah.
And I did it, and now it's too late. So we're just
And I
ripping
got a
it.
B
here.
minus because I got a B minus on the final because it was just
So-
like 1800s history or something.
That was the film studies classes I took where it was the final was
Oh, those
100%
were
of the grade.
great.
It was
Those
a great.
were great.
John Lewis, one of my favorite professors of college. Shout out John Lewis if you're out there listening to this. You're not.
Look at me
But
now,
I'd
John.
be so happy if you were though. What was dope about we got paid to write for the barometer, and it also applied to our new media communications major, so we got graded for
Oh.
it too. and it was like just pass fail, and it's like we weren't gonna like fail each other. So there was like some like threshold you had to pass, but it was like 2 to 3 credits a semester that you just got an A in, which I probably got that one day where I was the entire sports section. Like, that got me off of academic probation real quick from freshman year.
We can't lose you, man. Terry. Your reporting prowess is unmatched.
It was a weird. It was a
Here's
real
your
time.
14 credits
probation. Here's your 78 credits for the sports page. Our new valedictorian, who's only taken sports page.
Who's only taken sports page?
Flip the rules on their head, man.
What was your major, Terry? Sports page.
Sports page. Is that a sports bar? Yes, but it's on a page.
How much would you have loved to write about this controversy and scandal?
I think I would have hated it because it takes the attention away from the athletes who are generally doing like cool stuff. And there's a lot of layers to pull out, and obviously a lot of tension, which is great. But honestly, yeah, it's like, I don't know. Like, and the reason I have so much affection for Kyle, because when Kyle was a senior the first year on the Craig Robinson team, and it was just like, here's this kid who's stuck around and been here. So like one day, just like, can I write a feature on Kyle? And literally, this is like also why I don't have a lot of affinity for the athletic department, because they asked me why. And like, well, just he's not scoring 25 a game, but he's still a person. He's got a story to tell. And I had such a great chat with Kyle. I was after practice one day. We talked for like 45 minutes, an hour, and just a dude who didn't give up on the program. And that CBI run in year 1 under Craig Rob meant a lot to him. And
what is he from the area?
He's from Eugene area, but like, he was always a Beaver. He like has like, it's like, we vibed on this because he was telling me about his family, how like he grew up, he was a Beaver fan as a kid, but like most of his family and his extended family were Duck fans, but he always hated the Ducks. And then I was like, dude, like I'm a Vikings fan surrounded by Packer fans. And he's like, but it only like intensifies the fanhood. And I was like, right, yeah. And so like, he's just loved the Beavs his entire life. And yeah, like that was one of my favorite feature stories to work on. And because like Kyle was really generous with his time and his story and sharing a lot with me, but it's like, yeah, this is the shit that matters. And when you have an athletic department that's making it all about themselves and trying to prove they're the smartest guys in the room while doing dumb shit, it takes away. Like there's a lot of athletes doing similar things on campus right now who are not getting that shine.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's what I'd be frustrated with.
Man, it would be, well, you didn't care about clicks then.
Oh man.
Oh, there were
JP, you would be the real life Lester Holt.
It did go. I'd get nailed in the comments on the Daily Barometer website. So there were clicks to an extent, but I don't think we tracked them ever.
Did you ever read the comments?
One time I did, and I got really mad. And then shout out Nick Lilia, the sports editor, as I was writing a response, he was like, whoa, like you're not allowed to respond. And I was like, why? It's like, because it's not professional. And I was like, well, I'm not professional. I'm still in college.
Majoring in sports page.
Yeah, it was something about that. Someone made a remark about like someone figured out I was from Minnesota and talked shit about the Timberwolves, and I probably was gonna come back.
I know
with,
who it was.
I'm gonna kill you. No, it wasn't someone I knew personally.
Oh, it wasn't Glanville? It wasn't Jimmy?
Glanville.
Oh, Jimmy's listening.
Jimmy is listening.
James.
Credit to Jimmy. Jimmy would say anything to my face. So I respect that about Jimmy. I don't think Jimmy was Jimmy had too much going on, or cared at least enough about being a real person not to dive deep in the comment section on the Daily Barometer website.
Wait, somebody that commented on the Daily Barometer that was on the about?
Yeah. There's like the comments. One time I almost responded to the comment section on the Daily Barometer website when I was like a junior, and Nick was like, "We're not allowed to do that," and I was really mad because I was still rather argumentative, but I was a bit more argumentative and I think my fuse has gotten a little bit longer with age, at least maybe a little bit. But yeah, there was, I learned that the hard way, and I've just tried to ignore the comment section ever since.
Yeah.
And some days I
Yeah,
do
your
a better
fuse has
job than
gotten
other
longer.
days. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mine has gotten shorter. I'm so pissed off at everything all the time.
JP literally just explodes in the middle of the podcast.
I can make that happen in Sora. Terry, you got to get on Sora
Oh,
too.
I feel like
dude.
you can make
saw
that
the
happen
video
in
that
any
I
video
made.
editing software.
You
don't
saw
need
the
Sora for
video.
that.
Yeah, you showed it at the beginning of the episode of the one I made of
The
you.
beginning
at
of
the
this episode
sideshow.
feels 10 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I like how it just stops and you just do that.
All right. Are we done? It feels like we're done, at least for this week.
Yeah. Wrap it up, Terry.
Love you guys. Love you, listeners. Love you, Oregon
Oh, I
State.
can't hold my face that much longer.
That was pretty
I was
close.
posing.
I thought you might have
That
been
was a long
frozen.
time.
Frozen Justin.
No, that was me.
It was me.
I know.
It was me.
Thank you for rocking with us for close to 2 hours now, close to 200 episodes now. And we only turned into dark babies like 2 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, a dozen episodes, whatever.
There's one way to get us out of this.
They're trying to make
Like
us
a
the bad guys.
WWE storyline.
This would be a WWE storyline. Complete rebuild, tear it down, build it back up, do whatever. Some of us might be more confident that might happen than others, but we will find out in the coming weeks. In the meantime, give each of us a follow. I am Terry Horseman at Terry Horseman on Twitter and at Terrence Horstman on Instagram.com. Joined as I always am by my best fucking friends.
There you go. It's
My
only been
Best
200
fucking
episodes.
friends, brothers. Was that turned down for what, or was that Sora for what?
No, that was JP's hyphy dance.
Well, speaking of JP's hyphy dance, JP Bertram on the ones and twos, keeping the ship steered in the right direction, eagerly awaiting a public records request.
1 week, baby.
Blowing every
Counting that every
whistle
day.
he can get his hands on. Blow the whistle because his
Oh,
name is
yeah.
just initials.
Yeah.
At the Trill J on Twitter.
that,
That's
Ryan.
at the _Trill_J because he's too Trill to be real. On Instagram at JP Bertram. And of course, Benjamin Lawrence, Sebastian Wehage, aka Benny with the good quaff, aka Benny Bowl game, but definitely not this year. Not statistically this year. It's already over. I might just be at the Sun Bowl anyway. Benny Blastoff, Benny Burner, Benny Bedlam, because he's fucking crazy, folks. At Benny L 1986 on all of your social media channels. And follow us as a show, for gosh darn sakes, at Belligerent Beavs on Twitter, at Belligerent Beavs everywhere else, including your public records request app, Sora. You said smoke pot with Sora Records. That wasn't my best, but still.
No.
By the way, Riverside FM is now riverside.com.
Oh, damn it. That's less cool. At riverside.com, Red Note, TikTok, Blue Chew, and
Blue Chew.
and find Belligerent Beavs on the Blue Chew app.
What is
It
that?
really makes a difference. Blue Chew is a male enhancement
It
product,
goes
JP.
so hard.
Oh,
Are
I'm
you
signing
speaking
up.
from experience?
It goes
Not
so
that you
hard.
should be ashamed, but I'd be interested to hear your experience. BelligerentBeavs.com, BelligerentBeavs.com/merch. I think BelligerentBeavs.com/merch is a better use of your money than Blueprint Sports. So consider that while you're hanging out this week, wanting to burn some of that disposable income. But that is neither here nor there. And no matter what they do, no matter what they say, no matter what they take away, please remember as we have eyes on November that you categorically cannot spell chop them without hope. So, as hard as it though may appear, chop them.
Chop them.
Chop 'em.
Beavs back someday.
Cut.